Hello and thank you for joining us. I'm Cody Proctor. This is the KREM 2 News Week in Review, where each weekend we bring you headlines from the past week in the Inland Northwest. Let's get started with one of the biggest news stories of the past few days.
The Othello community is grieving after a car crash here on Bench Road claimed the lives of 3 teenagers. Adriana Carrillo was outside with her kids enjoying a Sunday afternoon.
My daughter's like, "Oh, look, Mom, that car's going really fast."
Until they realized that something had gone horribly wrong.
From one of the backyards over here, I can see a white car just trying to gain control. And all of a sudden, it just kept going. And I'm just like, if you slow down to look at them, why continue to go?
Court documents identify the driver of the white sedan as 19-year-old Prisciliano Perez Pineda. According to Adams County Court documents, Perez Pineda tried to pass the 3 teenagers in a pickup truck, but hit the driver's side and caused the truck to roll into an irrigation ditch. Surveillance video from nearby businesses and homes helped law enforcement find the vehicle and arrest Perez Pineda. Prosecutors charged him with 2 counts of vehicular homicide and 1 count of vehicular homicide domestic violence because he had dated one of the victims. The identity of the victims has not been released since they're minors. The Othello School District posted on social media that all 3 teens were Othello High School students, and the district is providing counseling and additional resources for staff and students. Carrillo says that as a parent, the tragedy really hits home for her.
Seeing the parents cry, I had to just contemplate all night. I had to contemplate. I'm just like, I have a daughter who's just, a couple years younger, but just keeping that thought. I'm like, if that was mine, how would I feel? And it gets me emotional even now. So
Perez Pineda is scheduled to appear in court again for an arraignment hearing 1 week from today. In Othello, Caitlin Galloway, KREM 2 News.
A deputy is in the hospital and expected to recover after they were shot in an early morning standoff here on Suncrest Drive.
Stevens County Sheriff's Office says at around 2:30 this morning, a call came in saying that someone was breaking into their house on surveillance video. The caller was not home, but specified that no one else had permission to be there. When officers arrived on scene, they say they tried to enter the house, but were immediately met with gunfire. One deputy was shot twice in the upper chest and shoulder. The deputy returned fire and was extracted from the house. After 5 hours, crisis negotiators were able to make contact with a male suspect and confirmed he was still inside. SCSO says after that, the suspect immediately stopped communicating. Investigators later sent a small drone into the house where they found the suspect dead in a bedroom from what investigators say could be a self-inflicted gunshot wound. SCSO says life-saving measures were attempted on scene but were unsuccessful. During the investigation, neighbors say an alert was sent out to stay inside of their homes because of heavy police presence in the area.
I woke up at 3 o'clock, I didn't hear nothing, but all of a sudden they came in and then they came flying past me, a lot of them, and I'm going, what is going on, and I didn't realize someone said it was on my street, and so I rushed over here and found out it was down there, not closer here. What's crazy is that, Spokane Valley Police came, the Spokane Police came and all these sheriffs, from Stevens County and everywhere, and ambulances, there's like a dozen, and just like, wow.
SCSO says the injured deputy underwent surgery and is expected to make a full recovery.
Right now, both the Washington State Patrol and Stevens County Sheriff's Office are investigating this incident. In Suncrest, Christian Garza, KREM 2 News.
As we go to break, here's a check of your weekend forecast. Welcome back to the KREM 2 News Week in Review. It has been a busy week all across the inland Northwest, so let's catch you up on some of the news you might have missed.
Red lights are burning bright across Kootenai County in memory of fallen firefighters John Morrison Jr. and Frank Harwood, who were killed in last June's attack. From front porches to fire stations and city buildings, the Light the Night in Red Week means more this year for the North Idaho fire community.
But this year it hits different. It hits personal and it hits home.
Nationwide, this week honors fallen firefighters.
I think really all you can say is thank you. They gave the ultimate, they gave everything, and it's a hard job. It's not always a most appreciated job, and we just want to say thank you.
Kootenai County Fire and Rescue's Frank Harwood and Coeur d'Alene Fire Department's John Morrison Jr., both battalion chiefs, were shot and killed in an ambush on Canfield Mountain when responding to a fire call. Almost a year later, the community is lighting up in red, honoring the legacy and lasting impact they left behind.
We all kind of joked about how the training tower specifically was Frank's tower. He probably spent more time in that tower and working and training on these training grounds than anybody in our organization.
Chief Pete Hawley with KCFR tells me Frank Harwood was there for his first day on the job. And Craig Etherton with Coeur d'Alene Fire Department says he's worked alongside Morrison for about 23 years.
We still think of him, and we think of Jill and Joe. He was a good commander, he was a good firefighter, he was a good father, and I think those are things that were important to him.
It's one of the biggest silver linings that we found throughout this entire tragedy was how much our community loves us and the support we get from the community. And this is just another opportunity for the community to step up.
So it may be as simple as flipping a switch or changing a bulb, but fire officials tell me the red light is a small gesture that speaks to the big impact John and Frank had on the North Idaho community. This weekend, members of Kootenai County Fire and Rescue and Coeur d'Alene Fire Department will be traveling to Maryland for the National Fallen Firefighter Memorial Weekend. Morrison and Harwood will be added to that memorial. For now, I'm reporting in Coeur d'Alene, Regan Gallo, KREM 2 News. Well, officials with Kootenai County Fire and Rescue tell me they're asking voters to bridge the resource gap through 2028 with a 2-year temporary levy as call volumes continue to rise with the area's growth. Kootenai County Fire and Rescue, or KCFR, says in 2025 they saw about 9,000 calls.
We've almost doubled in 10 years in our call volume. Our personnel workforce has been trying to keep up with that.
The levy would cost $37.77 per $100,000 of taxable assessed property value each year. Chief Pete Hawley says the levy would maintain current staffing. Under Idaho law, fire district budgets are capped at a 3% increase per year. Chief Hawley says it's not enough to keep up with the area's growth.
Growth doesn't technically pay for growth in our community, and we're one of the fastest growing communities in the region.
He adds inflation has driven the cost of a fire engine up to about $1 million. And funding for Fire Station 5, currently covered by a grant, will expire in about a year. Levy would preserve 24/7 staffing. Without it, officials warn of reduced staffing and longer response times.
Any emergency, the things that are probably the biggest enemy to the public is time and distance. We want to make sure that we're continuing to stay strategically placed in the community so we can keep those times, those response times short, and we can rapidly meet the needs of the community in an emergency.
Nobody expects to have to use 911 until the day that they do need it. And we have always strived and hopefully will continue to provide this community with the most professional, most responsive, most dynamic experience when they need to use the emergency services here.
Election day for Idaho's primary election is May 19th. I'm reporting in Post Falls, Regan Gallo, KREM 2 News.
It was a beautiful morning here at Spokane International Airport. In fact, as the sun was coming up, veterans were arriving, over 90 of them, for this springtime honor flight. It is a beautiful event because so many of the men and women tell us they just love being surrounded by other veterans and getting to chat and tell stories, and then on top of that, getting to travel to Washington, D.C., where they get to see the memorials built in their honor. That is what Honor Flight is all about. It's taking men and women to Washington, D.C. to see the wall, the statues, the monuments that were built for them in their service. It is a 36-hour whirlwind trip. It's exhausting for most of the veterans. They come home and they tell me they just sleep, it seems like, for days. But they said it's worth every second because many of them never got a welcome home or have never been to Washington, D.C. to see those memorials. So it's a very special trip. We talked to one family. There are 5 brothers that served together during Vietnam that are traveling together, and they say this is so special.
I think it's a fantastic day. And for one reason, this is the first time in years that these brothers have all got together. It's usually something comes up, can't miss, and it's exciting, and I'm really looking forward to these next 2 days.
What does it mean to have people celebrating you like this today?
Makes you feel special.
And one of the best parts of Honor Flight and waiting for you to get involved is by coming to welcome home the men and women when they land from Washington, D.C. So tomorrow night, on Wednesday night, they're scheduled to be here at 7:30. Come out, bring the kids, bring signs, wave flags. It is so much fun. And again, it is one of the most special moments for the veterans. They tell me time and again to get that welcome home that some of them never got and to feel so honored and so special. So again, you're all invited. Reporting at Spokane International Airport, Laura Papetti, KREM 2 News.
Thanks for joining KREM 2 News this weekend. I'm Cody Proctor. Right now, we're taking a look back at some of the news stories from the past week in this edition of the KREM 2 News Week in Review.
Some of the thousands of allegations made by people inside here range from unsanitary conditions to contaminated food.
Thank you, everybody.
Advocates gathered around Washington's governor and attorney general to announce the latest legal action to get inside the ICE detention facility in Tacoma.
Just a courtyard, it's concrete.
Officials and advocates say more than 1,200 people are inside one of the country's largest immigration detention centers.
So it's really built to break people's spirits and to make them give up in the immigration system.
Governor Bob Ferguson and Attorney General Nick Brown allege the GEO Group is violating state law after the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals cleared the way for Washington to inspect the privately run facility. The governor says state health inspectors have been turned away 10 times over the past 3 years.
This is totally unacceptable.
State leaders say the Department of Health has received more than 3,500 complaints from detainees, alleging contaminated food with raw meat and worms, denied care like medications, and unsanitary living conditions, including mold, dirty clothing, and limited working bathrooms.
The GEO Group is violating the law and sending the message that Washingtonians don't deserve to know what is going on in their facility.
Even though we're not in there, we are taking those first steps, and whatever we see when we do get in there, we would absolutely provide some help, immediate advice or direction in how to remedy those situations.
The GEO Group has argued in court that federal oversight governs the facility, not state law, and that inspections should be handled through ICE. Meanwhile, advocates are calling for the end of detention altogether.
Everyone who is detained right now in that detention center be free and be a part of their community.
If a judge rules the state should be allowed inside, health officials can start immediately helping people here. If not, this legal fight continues. We took the allegations to the GEO Group. They referred us to ICE, who we have not heard back from. In Tacoma, Alex McClune, King 5 News.
Delta says the flight crew sprang into action and declared an emergency while 2 nurses on board and a doctor helped deliver the baby. We got a statement from Delta from their spokesperson Sabrina Cole saying, quote, "We extend our sincere thanks to the crew and medical volunteers on board who stepped in to provide care to a customer on board prior to landing in Portland. The health and safety of our customers is always our top priority, and we wish the new family all the best. When the plane landed safely at PDX at about 10 p.m. Friday, it was met by medical crews. Delta pointed out their flight crews undergo comprehensive medical training for these exact situations. As for its policy for those flying pregnant, the Delta Airlines website says while it does not impose restrictions on flying while pregnant or require a medical certificate, it does urge passengers, especially those traveling after their 8th month, to check with their doctor beforehand. Other airlines have their own rules. United Airlines says pregnant passengers may need a medical clearance to fly if they're traveling while 9 months pregnant, with additional guidelines for high-risk pregnancies. American Airlines says pregnant passengers must provide a doctor's certificate if their due date is within 4 weeks of the flight. And Alaska Airlines does not have a specific pregnancy policy. And one more note, ticket change fees, according to Delta, they cannot be waived for pregnancy. Libby Dowsett, KGW News.
Welcome back. Before we wrap up this edition of the KREM 2 News Week in Review, we want to remind you that you can get the latest newscast and weather forecast anytime on KREM 2 Plus. It's free to watch and download for Roku, Amazon Fire, and on Apple TV. Now here's one more story before we go.
Well, I am standing in this iconic spot with these Bloomsday statues behind me because we are at the official 1 week away countdown until the 50th Bloomsday.
As Bloomsday runners gear up for the start, I tried to catch them mid-training.
Is excited for Bloomsday? You running for Bloomsday? Yes. Training for Bloomsday? You running for Bloomsday? Yeah, I am.
But they kept moving because training doesn't stop, even for a KREM 2 reporter.
Running for Bloomsday?
But there's some info these runners need to know before hitting the starting line. For those prepping for the 12K race, check-in and pack-up pickup is at the Spokane Convention Center starting at 11:30 Friday morning until 7 that night, as well as from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. this Saturday.
And for your friends coming out of town, Sunday pickup packet is from 7:30 a.m. to 9 a.m.
If you're using an STA Bloomsday Shuttle Pass, the cost is $2. Boarding is from 6:20 to 9 a.m. and shuttles will go back to their locations at 2 p.m.
And if you haven't signed up yet for the fun, you can still register. This Friday, the cost will be $38. And by this Saturday, it will go up to $50. An online sign-up closes at 5:30.
Bloomsday officials encourage participants to show up 30 minutes before your specific start time. And after the hard work, officials can look forward to the annual surprise, the finisher t-shirt. KREM 2 will see all the Bloomies there.
For now, I'm reporting in downtown Spokane, Regan Gallo, KREM 2 News.
Thank you for spending part of your weekend with us on the KREM 2 News Week in Review. Be sure to keep it here on KREM 2 for more news and weather updates. I'm Cody Proctor. Thanks for watching.